All right, let's get right into it. A few years back, the idea of the US buying Greenland, well, it sounded like a joke, right? A weird headline you'd scroll past. But what started as a kind of presidential whim has now become a dead serious national security priority for the United States. This is the story of a massive geopolitical chess game, and the year is 2026. This isn't some hypothetical, it's happening now. Now, you'd think that would be the end of it. The official word from Denmark has been completely firm. Their Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has made it crystal clear. Greenland is not a piece of property you can just buy and sell. It's its own country within their kingdom, and its people decide its future. But that statement, as final as it sounds, is really just where our story begins. Because you see, in Washington, hearing not for sale isn't the end of the conversation. It's the start of the negotiation. The Trump administration has officially reframed this whole thing. It's now an urgent matter of national security, and they've got a whole new playbook designed to get around that simple no. So let's be really clear here. This isn't just talk anymore. It's an active policy being pushed forward. And honestly, we've seen this kind of aggressive play before. Just look at the recent US military moves in Venezuela. It shows a clear willingness to use every tool they have, diplomatic, economic, and even military, to lock down what they see as strategic interests. And Greenland, with its location and its resources, has shot right to the top of that list. And that brings us to the real question here. Why this island? Of all places, why now? What on earth has changed to make this huge slab of ice and rock so vital to America that they're basically willing to rewrite the rules of international relations to get their hands on it? Well, the answer isn't on the surface. It's buried deep, deep under the ice. Yeah, the administration isn't just looking for some Arctic real estate. They're laser focused on what experts are now calling the new oil. We're talking about the incredible, untapped mineral wealth of Greenland, which is now seen as the absolute key to dominating the 21st century, both militarily and economically. I mean, just look at the scale of what we're talking about here. Rare earth elements. These are the things you need for everything from F-35 fighter jets to the smartphone in your pocket are everywhere. Greenland is sitting on a huge chunk of the world's reserves. Plus, it's got 25 of the 34 minerals the West calls critical for things like semiconductors and batteries. Getting control of this isn't just about business, it's a strategic necessity. And this chart right here explains the why now. As of 2025, China processes something like 90% of the world's rare earths. That's not just a big market share, that's a chokehold. After Beijing started putting new limits on exports, the White House started looking at Greenland as pretty much the only way to break that grip and secure its own supply chain for literally everything, from weapons to green tech. So, if a straightforward purchase is off the table, how exactly does the US plan to pull this off? Well, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They've developed a strategy called the five-path playbook, and it runs the gamut from friendly diplomacy all the way to, well, not so friendly coercion. Okay, let's quickly walk through these 5 options. Path 1 is the KOFA model. Basically, help Greenland become fully independent from Denmark, and then immediately sign a deal making the US its protector in exchange for exclusive access to everything. Path 2, the art of the deal. Just keep up the high-pressure offer to buy it, trying to wear Denmark down. Third is the Donroe Doctrine, a modern spin on the old Monroe Doctrine, using threats to push other countries out and squeeze Greenland into a deal. Fourth, resource annexation. Have private US companies buy up all the mining rights and infrastructure, basically controlling the economy from the inside out. And then there's the last resort, declaring a security emergency, maybe pointing to Russian or Chinese activity as an excuse to just move in. But here's the thing, the absolute crucial point. Every single one of these plans, from the nicest to the most aggressive, depends entirely on one huge, unpredictable factor, the 56,000 people who actually live there. I mean, it's the 21st century. You can't just take over a country and ignore its citizens. Or can you? And this gets us right to the core of the US strategy for 2026. The whole plan has shifted. It's no longer about buying a territory from another government. It's about essentially buying the consent of an entire population. The big question is no longer about the price of the land. It's about the price of a yes vote from the Greenlandic people. And that price is just staggering. Just look at this for some historical perspective. When the US bought the Philippines from Spain, it worked out to about $2 a person. The US Virgin Islands from Denmark, about $961. The current proposal on the table for Greenland, based on a $500 billion package, comes out to almost $9 million per citizen. We are in a completely different ballpark here.
Let's just pause on that number for a second. $8.9 million. And we're not talking about some abstract fund for the government. The proposal that's being floated is part of what they're calling a sovereignty dividend, where a huge chunk of this money, we're talking maybe $500,000 to $1 million, would go directly into the bank account of every single man, woman, and child, with the rest funding a universal basic income for life.
So, how is this going over in Greenland? Well, it's tearing the country apart. Traditionally, about 85% of the population has been totally against becoming a U.S. territory. They're worried about losing their culture, their identity, their whole way of life. But that kind of money, life-altering money, is a powerful force. It's creating this whole new dynamic, especially with younger people. There's a growing movement that's actually open to the idea of guaranteed millionaire status. And listen, this isn't just some think tank idea. It is happening right now. The Trump administration has put a special envoy in charge of this, Jeff Landry, and his entire job is to make this deal a reality. This is the Landry mission. It's the official diplomatic push, and it's got a deadline. So what is the Landry mission? His job is to put a formal, official proposal in front of Greenland's parliament by the middle of 2026. The whole play is to go around the political leaders and appeal directly to the people with an economic offer so huge, so overwhelming that it becomes impossible for them to say no. And this is the final choice that's being put in front of them. On one side, you have the carrot, this sovereignty dividend, massive cash payouts, a UBI for life, basically an economic merger. But on the other side, you've got the stick, the threat of invoking that modern Don Hertz doctrine, a potential ultimatum to Denmark through NATO, and that constant veiled threat that all options are on the table, which everyone knows could include military force. It's an offer of unbelievable wealth backed up by an undeniable threat. Which leaves us with this one final, huge question. In this new era of global competition, what's the price of a country's independence? Can a nation's culture, its identity, its whole future really be bought and sold if the check is big enough to make every single citizen a millionaire? The answer to that won't be decided in Washington or in Copenhagen. It's going to be decided in the hearts and minds of those 56,000 people in Greenland.